and in a quiet but stern voice he said, "Apologize to your grandparents." For some reason, I calmed down. In fact, I was so surprised that the despair I had felt up until then went somewhere. Regaining my composure, I apologized to everyone and felt a sense of urgency. Encouraged by my grandparents' words in the running car, I cried again. I was weaker than I thought, I realized. When I arrived at Miss S's house, which is also a temple, I felt somewhat relieved. Rather than something happening, it was probably more accurate to say that I intentionally relaxed. After passing through the gate and through a narrow path paved with stone, a middle-aged man welcomed me. I remember there always being guests at S-sensei's house. There must be many people who visit regularly, like my grandmother. A 10-mat Buddhist room is located beyond the back entrance. As my memory recalled, S teacher was sitting upright on the cushion laid in front of the Buddha statue, and slowly turned around. "Tichan, it's all good now. S-sensei will take care of you. It's been a while. You've become quite impressive. Time flies, doesn't it? Sensei, is Tichan going to be okay?" You can't just say it's okay. He just arrived, so even S-sensei might not understand. You be quiet. I'm just so worried. For some reason, just coming in front of S-sensei, my frantic grandparents were calm. That was transmitted to my parents and me, and when I exhaled, I felt like something bad came out of my body. Apparently, my parents were close to their physical and mental limits, and under the affectionate words from my grandfather, they excused themselves to the next room. "Then Tichan, come over here." Called by S-sensei, I sat in front of her. "Then Isan, please relax in the next room. I'll talk to Tichan for a while. Don't come back here until I tell you it's okay. Sensei, please take care of Tichan." "Tichan, don't worry. Sensei will take good care of you. You just make sure to listen well, okay?" As I watched my grandparents pleading with Sensei and calling out to me, tears welled up in my eyes again. I cried a lot. As Sensei asked me to get closer and we sat with our knees touching. She held my hand and, for a while, just looked at me with a kind face. For some reason, I felt like I was back to being a child, anticipating the look on my parents' face, worried about being scolded for misbehaving. Opposite me was a small and clearly weak old lady, whose presence was not intimidating, yet it swallowed me whole. I wondered if such people really existed. What should we do? Me. "Tichan, are you scared?" "Yes, I see. We can't keep going like this." It's okay. I'm just talking to myself." What was even okay? I was flooded with thoughts saying that nothing was okay at all. I couldn't hold back and finally exploded. I was really immature as a person. I said, "What will happen to me? I want you to do something soon. Why does he keep bothering me? I've had enough. Can't you fix it, Sensei?" No matter how much I demand or how unfair it all seems, in the end, it all comes down to S-sensei's manifesting voice that echoes in my left ear. A parrot-like high-pitched and monotonous voice that is incomprehensibly saying, "Do hurry, do hurry." It took me a while to understand that it was repeating, "Why?" I was looking into S-sensei's eyes, and Sensei was looking into mine. Sensei's face, which was usually so kind, seemed to be expressionless. I knew there was something in my peripheral vision on the left. You can see it flicking in and out of view. But I turned to the left against my better judgment, and I could feel warm blood flowing from my neck. It was standing there, bent over double, peering into my face. I didn't understand what was happening. I couldn't accept that this was happening. Even though I was in a temple, with S-sensei in front of me, why? It was just as I had seen it a week ago. Its face was right in front of me. It peered at me curiously, moving its face in small increments like an owl. Why? It kept asking in a parrot-like voice. I guess Lynn must have heard this voice too. I don't know if it was whispering the same words to me. I had forgotten how to breathe. My eyes and mouth were wide open. No, it would be more accurate to say that I could not breathe properly. Sometimes I felt as if I was failing to suck in air with a kuhu sound. In the meantime, it moved its hand and slowly unfolded what seemed to be a talisman stuck on its face. I knew I shouldn't have looked. I wanted to run away, but I couldn't move. Just about everything was visible up to the chin area. In my mind, I was screaming, "Stop! Don't unfold it anymore." But out of my mouth only came a pathetic wheezing. Just when I was panicking, I was in danger. That's when the sound "pan" came. I jumped up without any exaggeration or hyperbole. I thought my heart was going to burst. Pen. At that sound, I jumped. I was sitting properly, so I nearly fell backwards and ran. I wasn't thinking about anything. My body just moved on its own. But my feet were numb from the unfamiliar way of sitting, so I couldn't run properly. My feet got tangled up from the numbness, and I plunged headfirst into the wall because I wasn't looking forward at all. But it didn't hurt at all, despite the blood oozing from my forehead. It just shows how frenzied I was and not able to see my surroundings. I could not see anything because blood got into my eyes. I spun my arms around looking for an exit. But it seems I was only searching in the wrong directions. "You can't go yet!" Suddenly a sensei shouted loudly. I didn't know if it was said to my parents or grandparents on the other side of the sliding doors, or to me. Although I didn't know, that voice was enough to stop my actions. I stiffened in place in surprise. Again, my mind was trying to grasp the situation at an incredible speed. I mean, there was no way I could understand. I was just following what S-sensei said. My movements stopped, and as if to confirm the movements of my parents and grandparents trying to enter the Buddhist altar room had stopped, Sensei started to speak after a brief pause. "Sensei, I'm sorry, T-chan, it must have been scary. It's all right now, come back here." "I-san, it's okay, please wait a little longer." I could hear something being said vehemently from behind the shoji, or maybe Fusuma, but I don't remember. When I returned to S-sensei after wiping my blood, she gave me a towel. I don't know if it was incense or something, but it smelled good. Only here did I realize that the sound was S-sensei clapping her hands. Questioning was not an option. "Sensei-chan, could you see? Could you hear?" Me, I saw, it kept repeating why. By this time, S-sensei's face had returned to its usual kind expression. I tried to respond as calmly as possible, focusing only on answering. Well, I gave up trying to think. "Sensei, I see. You were asking why, right? What did you think?" I had no idea. I didn't even think about trying to think. Me, I don't know. "Sensei T-chan, were you scared?" Me, scared, yes. "Sensei, what are you scared of?" Me, well, it's not normal. It's a ghost. At this point, my brain had exceeded its cognitive abilities. I had no idea what S-sensei was trying to say. "S-sensei, but you weren't harmed, right?" Me, well, blood came out of my neck, and it was about to unfold something like a talisman. But it's obviously not normal. Teacher. "Yeah, but there's nothing else it could be. It's difficult." Me, I don't really understand. "I'm sorry." "It's okay." His teacher spoke to me in a way I could understand. It might be better to say she enlightened me. Firstly, it is undoubtedly what is commonly referred to as a ghost or a specter. When asked if it classifies as what's commonly known as evil spirit, it seemed hard for S-teacher to assert. Apparently, it falls in the category of the bad ones, but according to S-teacher, there was no malice felt. As to what happened to me, she responded as follows. "Just because they don't mean any harm, if they're too powerful, it ends up like this." That person was very lonely. They wanted to talk, touch, be seen, be noticed, always longing. You may not realize it, but you're warm. Many people like you, and that had apparently earned you an "I like this, he seems kind" from them. Therefore, the fact that they noticed you probably made them very happy. But compared to that person, you are far weaker. That's why just by being close, it scared them and your body reacted. S-teacher spoke to me slowly, like speaking to a child, taking care not to use difficult words. I didn't know what to do. I had presumed it to be an evil spirit or something similar, and thought the matter would be settled once S-teacher had performed a purification ritual. But instead, S-teacher stood in defense of it. "S-teacher, now we must do something about this. T-kun, it might take some time, but we'll help you out, okay?" This sentence was truly my saving grace. It signaled the end, I thought. Finally, I could rest easy. I'll write some of the things taught to me by S-teacher. These are the words I'll never forget in my life. Even if it looks scary, or it's something you don't know, assume that it is suffering just like you. Assume that it is waiting for someone to extend a hand of salvation. S-teacher started the sutra not for purification, but for it to be able to attain nirvana. Although my forehead was throbbing and my neck hurt upon closer inspection, I could really sleep well that night. The sutra had ended, but I remained flustered. S-teacher let me stay the night, laughing. The next day I woke up early, or so I thought, but S-teacher had already finished her morning prayers. S-teacher, "Good morning, T-kun." Go wash your face and eat breakfast. We're heading to the main temple once you're finished. She's part of a sect, as I had mentioned before, one that dates back to history textbooks, with followers and trainees all over Japan. While the teachings were similar geographically, there were main temples in the east and the west. I was taken to the one in the west. I'd been taken care of at the main temple for a while, the purpose being increasing my own virtue. I still can't explain what that is, and to offer prayers at the main temple for it to attain nirvana as soon as possible, teacher had said. The one most overjoyed to hear it was my grandmother, the one who had been doubtful, my father. In the end, when I had said, "I'm okay, I'll go," there were no objections. At the main temple, a young person was waiting to meet us, greeting teacher politely. I was introduced to the people of the main temple in a cabin near the main temple. It was large and magnificent. It felt wrong to call it a cabin. Teacher seemed to be a pretty incredible person. I learned later that she could have held quite a high position if she had wished to. It can become quite hierarchical, which is sad, according to teacher. I had been a bother at the main temple for a while and had been treated like a guest, but I had lived like everyone else. In the process, I genuinely realized my good fortune. A woman who'd been tormented by a snake spirit for more than 40 years, or people descended from great samurai lineages who'd lost family and relatives to a curse, falling into ruin. I had no idea so many people had had it much harder than I had. The fear has significantly faded, whether it's because of the rigorous lifestyle, the location, or the talks I had with teacher.